Have you ever faced a situation so hopeless that even prayer felt powerless? Maybe you prayed for a broken relationship to heal, for peace in your home, or for the strength to forgive someone who caused you deep pain. Today's story is for anyone who has ever cried out to God in desperation. It's about a woman who lived through unimaginable suffering, yet became a shining symbol of hope, healing, and heavenly miracles. Her name is Saint Rita of Cascia, known around the world as the Saint of Impossible Causes. But who was she really? Behind the title and the miracles lies a heartbreaking yet powerful journey of love, loss, forgiveness, and unwavering faith. She was a wife, a mother, a widow, a nun, and finally, a saint who changed lives even after death. In this video, we explore her untold life story, filled with divine surprises and emotional depth. If you find strength in stories of faith and perseverance, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Scripture Wisdom for more inspiring videos like this. Saint Rita was born in 1381 in a small village near Cascia, Italy. From a very young age, she showed a deep love for God. Her parents, devout Christians themselves, often saw little Rita praying in silence. She longed to dedicate her life to God and become a nun. But during those times, it was common for parents to arrange marriages for their daughters, especially if the girl was an only child, as Rita was. So despite her spiritual calling, Rita obeyed her parents' wishes and married a man named Paolo Mancini at the age of just 16. That decision would mark the beginning of her life's greatest trials and greatest spiritual victories. Paolo was a violent and cruel man. He was short-tempered, harsh with his words, and often physically abusive. Most women in her place would have broken down, but Rita stood firm, not with anger, but with prayer. She never responded to his abuse with hate. Instead, she chose silence, kindness, and daily prayers. She prayed the rosary for him every night, hoping for a change. And slowly that change came. Through Rita's consistent love and spiritual strength, Paolo's heart softened. He became a better man, more gentle and open to faith. But just when peace seemed possible, tragedy struck. Paolo was murdered by his old enemies in a revenge killing. Now a widow, Rita had to raise their two sons alone. But the boys were young and angry. Driven by a desire to avenge their father's death, they planned to commit murder. Rita pleaded with them. She cried, begged, and tried to convince them not to walk down a dark path, but they wouldn't listen. So she did something unthinkable. In tears, she prayed to God, not for their safety, but for their souls. Lord, she prayed, I would rather see my sons die than watch them commit a deadly sin. Shortly after, both boys fell ill, and within months they passed away peacefully, without ever carrying out revenge. Rita was devastated. She had lost her husband and both children. Yet in her heartbreak, she trusted that God had protected their souls. Now alone in the world, Rita returned to her childhood dream, to become a nun, but the local convent refused her, multiple times. They said she had been married and had lived a worldly life, but Rita didn't give up. She fasted, prayed, and begged God to open the door. And then something miraculous happened. One morning, the nuns found Rita already inside the locked convent chapel, though no one had seen her enter. Some believe she was brought in by saints themselves. The nuns were so moved that they accepted her. From that day forward, Rita devoted her life fully to God through prayer, silence, and service. Rita often meditated on the sufferings of Jesus. One day, while praying before a crucifix, she asked the Lord to let her share in his suffering. At that moment, a thorn from Christ's crown pierced her forehead, leaving a deep, painful wound that never healed. It smelled awful and looked horrible, yet Rita wore it as a badge of divine love. That wound stayed with her for the next 15 years of her life. This was more than just physical pain. It was Rita's way of becoming one with Jesus in suffering. And even in pain, she never complained. She simply continued to pray and love others. As she grew older, Rita became very sick. She was bedridden for months. During one winter, a friend asked if she wanted anything. She said yes, a rose from my old garden. The friend was puzzled. It was January. Snow covered the ground. Roses don't bloom in winter, but when she went to Rita's family home, she found a single fresh rose blooming in the snow. She brought it back to Rita, who smiled and said, "This is God's gift to me." That rose became a symbol of her miraculous faith. On May 22nd, 1457, Saint Rita passed away, but her body didn't decay. Even today, over 500 years later, her body remains preserved in Cascia, Italy, where thousands of pilgrims come every year to pray. In 1900, Pope Leo XIII declared her a saint, and the world began to call her what she had always been, the saint of impossible causes. The life of Saint Rita of Cascia teaches us something powerful. No pain is too deep, no relationship too broken, and no prayer too desperate for God to hear. Her story is not just about miracles. It's about patience, forgiveness, and trusting God even when life falls apart. She teaches us to never give up, even when the door is shut, the heart is broken, or the cause seems impossible. So if you are going through something hard today, remember Saint Rita. Say a prayer, light a candle, and believe that the impossible can still happen. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Scripture Wisdom for more real-life stories of faith, Bible-based wisdom, and spiritual encouragement.